Earlier today, I asked, which do you think is currently more difficult? Getting the world record in Super Mario 64 120 star, or becoming rank 1 in Super Smash Brothers Melee? And reason I made this post is because Armada, specifically, previously best player in the world at Melee, of course, now switched over to Mario Speedrunning, and he's doing pretty well. While he doesn't play 120 star, which is considered the crown category by everyone, he plays 70 star, which I guess is the second hardest category, and a very hard one too. And Armada currently is now, he jumped from, I think, ranked 32nd in the world at 70 star to 15th in the world, which means I believe he has a better time than Simply and a few others. I think Simply and Liam at 70 star. But then I heard that they say they don't really take it as seriously. 120 star, whatever. Anyways, the point is, Armada's been grinding it very, very hard. And really getting up there, you know? I think he's still a full minute off of world records, so it'll be some time. With that being said, if Armada does manage to get the world record in 70 star, we'll have a kind of interesting idea and at least one person verifiably that can compare the experience of both, right? And I think he even popped up in the responses at some point. Actually, there's a lot of responses here. There he is. And Armada said this. Armada said, as arguably the only one of the few that played both games at a quote-unquote high level, never played 120 star though, I do find people's arguments funny. With that, not going to make a more clear statement, death wishes, etc. kind of annoying. Damn. Both games deserve more love than they get. So Armada chose to sort of abstain from this argument. I wish he would have said 1, because he probably has the hardest stance on this. But I kind of wanted to ask the chat here, which one do you think Armada would pick? What do you think? Because he's not going to talk about it. It was smart. It was smart. But if you were in Armada's shoes doing both, he could have said, I was the best in the world at Melee, but I will never be best at 120 star. It's a spicy one. It's a spicy one. You know, and I think a lot of people here in the responses too, Rishu as one, were saying that it's, you know, a lot of people were saying it's you shouldn't compare the two in the first place. But Rishu here said, I feel like world record is harder for someone currently playing at the top than it is for a current Melee top player to snag number 1. But for a brand new player in either game, I think they could be number 1 in Super Mario 64 before number 1 in Melee. And that's true. The number 1 record among the top Mario players can get passed along. I believe Liam right now has the record for 120 star. But, you know, the record has been passed around from Liam and Cheese and Simply and I believe Batora and I believe some other players. But those are the tip-top players. In the same way, the Melee number 1 rank has been passed from me to Zane Online to currently Mango right now. Before that was Armada. Like, that's been passed around too over the past couple of years. So that part is comparable. He's saying if you start from the ground up, from absolutely ground zero, never touch the controller ever, number 1 in Super Mario 64, probably before Melee. But the thing is, so few people have really done both that it's just hard to get a concise, realistic answer to this question. And I wish there was more people, because like Simply plays Melee, and Simply is not bad at Melee. And Simply, if someone wants to link me what he just said, because I think that was pretty important.
Yeah, I know. I definitely would assume that getting number 1 in Melee is harder than getting Mario 64 120 star world record. Just off the sheer amount of people that do Melee. Like if as many people that played Melee played Mario 64, it could be a different story, but there's so many people that play Melee. I don't know. I think I'm gonna get number 1 in Melee and just figure out which one's harder.
I think, and Simply, we should listen to his opinion, because he's one of the few people who's had the world record 120 star. But maybe we should listen to my opinion too a little bit, because I'm one of the few people who had rank 1 in Melee. The only issue is I've never competed in Mario 64, but I have played it. There's one big topic of contention here that needs to be addressed. One is a competitive fighting game, and one is you fighting the game itself. There is, of course, always going to be RNG within Super Mario 64. There's some people in the chat too who can probably point out the most important parts of RNG, which happen within Mario 64 on very long runs. Sometimes it's not RNG, but the window is so specific, like cannonless, There's like blue coin dropping at the Hazy Maze Cave when you're getting 100 coins. There's little things like that which can of course completely screw up a run, and it's not your fault. And then you might say, okay, well, is melee random? Melee, the only aspect of melee which is truly random is things like Shy Guys, Game & Watch Hammer, Luigi Misfire, Armada, Peach Turnips. And then you have the randomness of your bracket, and you have your randomness of who you're fighting against in matchups. But that randomness can be overcome if you know matchups, and you're sort of adapting on the spot. There's no script you can memorize on how to beat someone, but you can know, and FOD platforms, right? Some other things. There's no script you can memorize. Mario 64, there is a lot you can memorize. There is a lot of muscle memory. There's stuff that's always going to work. There's stuff that doesn't depend on RNG, and you're going to make sure you use, Phantom hits actually aren't random. I don't fully think so. So yeah, I will. My final point, now that I've read everyone's opinion on this, is going to be this. I think these shouldn't be compared, but one day I can imagine that either Simply or Armada or someone who's crossed over between both and is the true god gamer of all time. I want to ask Void too, actually. I don't know why, but Void doesn't play Mario, but Void was like top 5 in the world at the Smash game he played, and then he was also a speedrunner for, I believe, a couple games, Dread, and I think wasn't he like top 10 at Dread? And I want to ask him, is it harder to become tip top at a speedrunning game or tip top at Smash? Anyways, someone who's dabbled in both, maybe that's the more general question. But eventually, I'll say this: whoever manages to touch the ceiling in both games first and finally do that, and I really do think the only person in the world capable of doing that at some point in the future is Armada in 70 star. I don't see Simply becoming number 1 in the world at Melee, just ever. He's good, but I think that right now is, you really have to dedicate so much of your life to it. Whereas Armada was the best and now is dedicating his full time to the game. So that's why I can see it. I think Armada is the only person in the world right now that could do it within our lifetime and tell a tale. And when he does, it'll be funny because I'm gonna get the 16-star record first. And everyone is going to know that I am the God Gamer.